Hello and welcome to Grade 10 English Lessons. This is Unit 4, Episode 1. So in this unit, we're going to learn about computer games, how are they going to be like in the future, and what are some effects they have on teenagers. In this episode, we're going to learn some new vocabulary items as well as some tips to help you in terms of the reading comprehension questions. So let's begin. Now, if you look at this image, or these two images, what are the differences between them? If you look at the image on the left, what are the men doing? And if you look at the picture on the right, what is the child doing? So pay attention to these things and think about it as we go through the lesson. Now, my next question is, do you play computer games? If you look at this photo, you can see some children playing a video game. Now, if your answer to the question is yes, then how old were you when you played your first computer game? For example, for me, I was around 6 years old. And how often do you play computer games? However, if your answer was no, why haven't you played any computer games so far? And why do you think computer games are so popular? Now, open your workbook or your student's books to page 35 and look at this article. Now, what do you think the topic is based on this title? Fast forward to the future of games. And what kind of information do you think will be included in this article? Now, before we go to the reading comprehension questions, I'm going to give you some tips and techniques to help you figure out what are the best ways to tackle reading comprehension questions. First and foremost, go through the questions first and then read the passage. Doing so will help you understand some of the ideas inside the text, as well as help you find your answers later on when you want to answer the questions. Do not get stuck on particular words. If you do, I recommend that you read the sentence again in order to understand the context. That will help you guess this difficult word that you are stuck on. Opening and closing paragraphs require extra focus. Write your answers in full sentences. Last but not least, reading the first sentence of a paragraph will give you the main idea of that paragraph. Also, I recommend that while reading the text, underline or circle the keywords or possible answers that might help you in tackling the questions. Here we have two main things that are called skimming and scanning. These are two different techniques that are used when you read a certain text. Skimming means reading a text quickly to get the general idea. However, when it comes to scanning, it means reading a text quickly to find a specific piece of information. Now, what do you think are the types of questions for reading comprehension? The first thing you'll be tackling will be the multiple choice questions, and they come in different forms. The first one is about the best title or the main idea. The second multiple choice question would be about the vocabulary. So you could either be asked about synonyms, the closest meaning to a certain word, antonyms, the opposite meaning to a certain word, or definitions, the exact meaning of a specific word. The third type of multiple choice question would be the word reference. For example, the underlined word they in paragraph X refers to. Number 4, locating explicit information. That means that the answer is clearly mentioned in the text by searching for the correct keyword. Number 5, negative factual information. And these come in 3 different forms. For the first one, according to the passage, which of the following is not true? So you have to find a false statement. All the following statements are true except, again, you have to find a false statement. According to the passage, all the following statements are false except. In this one, you have only one true statement. The last type of multiple choice question will be the purpose of the writer or the moral lesson. After we're done with the multiple choice questions, you'll be facing the productive questions, and they come in 2 different forms. The first one will be the explicit question. That means the answer is clearly mentioned in the text. The second type of productive question would be the implicit question, and it means the answer is implied and not given explicitly in the text. Now, just like I taught you in the beginning, we're going to read the questions first before we start reading the text. So we have question number 1, give another title for this article. Question number 2, the underlined word employ in paragraph 1, line 8 is closest in meaning to. Question 3, what does the underlined pronoun they in the first paragraph, line 2, refer to? And according to paragraph 2, why do computer games have to become more intelligent? Number 5, all the following statements are true except. And the last one, the purpose of the writer is to. Now, let's skim through the text. To remind you, skimming is a technique you use in reading, and it means reading the text quickly to find general ideas. Now, let's go ahead and face the multiple choice questions. The first one is, give another title for this article. The title is more general. Details are not required, so keep that in mind when you look for a title. So, computer games in the future, computer games graphics, computer games designers struggle, or computer games accessories. If you look at the title, the original one in the text, it says fast forward to the future of games. I think you can figure out the answer based on this one. And the answer would be A, computer games in the future. Well done. Let's move on to question number 2. The underlined word employ in paragraph 1, line 8 is closest in meaning to. So this is asking us about a certain vocabulary item, and they want the synonym, the closest meaning to this word. Employ is the closest meaning to upgrade, advance, hire, or engage. If you look back at the text, you can find the word underlined or circled there. So if you read the sentence, firstly, game studies will have to employ hundreds of animators to simulate enough creatures to fill huge computer worlds. So based on this context and this sentence, what do you think the answer will be? C, hire. Excellent job. If you didn't get the correct answer for this question, try again in the next one. So here we have a new vocabulary item, which is employ, and it's a verb. It means to hire for work. For example, the company has decided to employ 2 new secretaries. Now to question number 3. What does the underlined pronoun they in the first paragraph, line 2, refer to? To remind you, this is word reference. So, does they refer to players, game producers, characters, or technology experts? You can see the word underlined in the first paragraph. Now, if you try to read the sentence itself, you wouldn't be able to understand what the word they refers to, right? So this is why I recommend that you read the previous sentence, which will help you figure out the answer. So based on the sentence that you've just read, the answer would be technology experts. Excellent job. According to paragraph 2, why do computer games have to become more intelligent? This is implicit information. That means you'll understand the answer, but you won't find it exactly inside the text. So, do you think it's because they want to develop artificial intelligence? Character discourse is becoming more important than combat-based games? Multiplayer games have become more popular? Or is it to perform tasks such as visual perception, speech recognition, and decision making? Here we have 3 new vocabulary items. So let's look at them first before we answer this question. The first one is artificial intelligence, or AI. And it means the theory and development of computers to things that usually require human intelligence. The next word is perception. It's also a noun, and it means the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through senses. Another word for perception is awareness. For speech recognition, it's also a noun, and it means the ability of a computer to identify and respond to the sounds produced in human speech. Just like the image you see, some of our phones have this ability. Once we talk to it, they can recognize our speech and do as required, or do what we ask them to do. Now let's go back to the question. Why do computer games have to become more intelligent? And this is the second paragraph. Scan through it to find the answer. The answer is B, character discourse is becoming more important than combat-based games. Excellent job. Now we have question number 5. All the following statements are true except. So in this question, it's a negative factual information. We have 3 statements that are true, however, only one of them is false. So what do you think is the false statement? A, companies don't earn much from mobile phone games. B, computer games players will spend more time playing games in the future. C, computer games of the future will be a lot more demanding for game producers only? Or is it D, the advancements in technology will enable companies to create more convoluted games? Here we have a new vocabulary item as well. So let's look at it before we answer this question. Convoluted is an adjective, and it means complicated and difficult to understand. For example, the instructions of the game were so convoluted that we watched a movie instead. Here is the text. Scan through it to find the false statement. And I'll give you a few seconds to pause the video to find the answer. The answer is C. Computer games of the future will be a lot more demanding for game producers only. Excellent job. Well done. Now we come to the purpose of the writer is to. Here it's to inform, or it's asking you about the moral lesson. So is the purpose of the writer to get readers to stop playing computer games? To inform readers about computer games becoming more realistic? To convince the readers to spend more time on computer games? Or is it to inform readers about how computer games will change in the future? So based on the text that we've read, the answer would be D. Excellent job. To inform readers about how computer games will change in the future. Now we're done with the multiple choice questions. We have the productive questions. The first one, what will computer games be like in the future? And just a tip, this is an explicit information. So that means that the answer will be mentioned inside the text. So if you look at this sentence, games will look much more realistic and computer-controlled characters will be more naturalistic. So this is the answer. Computer games will be more difficult, realistic, and naturalistic in the future. Now, what effects can playing computer games have on young people? Discuss good and bad effects. So this question is asking us about some implicit information. And pay attention to the word effects. It's in plural, so we have to give more than one effect. Scan through the text to find the information. So, for the good effects, playing computer games can develop their imagination, and modern computer games can make them healthier and fitter. Now, what about the bad ones? Playing computer games for a long time may lead to many health problems like back pain, eye pain, and headaches. They also spur violence, and these games can also make children idle and out of shape. Now, once we're done with the multiple choice questions and the productive questions for the reading comprehension, we have two more vocabulary items. The first one is exclusive, which is an adjective. It means limited to only one person or group of people. For example, the interview is exclusive to the magazine. That means that it's only limited to this specific magazine. The next item is joystick. It's a noun. A lever that can be moved in several directions to control the movements of an image on a computer. For example, this game has a joystick which controls the player's movements. So in this episode, we extracted relevant information after reading a passage. We've learned how to tackle multiple choice questions and how to answer productive questions. We've also learned how to use new vocabulary items in sentences. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.